Hello. I can't tell if we're live right now because I'm having some technical difficulties. So if we are, I'm just going to start playing like this. So hopefully you can hear that. I'm not sure. Hey, I can see some comments here. I just don't see the rest of the guys in the content right now. So I'm not sure why that is. So yeah, where is... So usually I see the gentleman that I'm going to do this with. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and start and say, people can hear me. Good.
Yes.
Excellent. I can hear now. I can hear Joel.
Yes.
Can I hear Hape?
Yeah. Hello.
I can't see you
Blake.
guys though. Usually I have the
Oh,
ability
really?
to see you in my restream setup here, and I'm not sure why
Oh,
that
that's
is.
a bit weird.
One moment, please. Oh, there it is.
Wow.
Oh.
Cool.
Okay. Sorry for the weird beginning. Hi, this is Blake Angelos here, and all of us, I guess, are live. Is this live, right, that I'm looking at here?
It is.
And you can see that right here. I guess it would be that way. No, it would be this way. It's that way. That little black thing. Okay, so I can't get my camera image to work there. I just got back from the NAMM show. I did use this computer to show ESP at the NAMM show. So maybe there was some configuration things because I connected to something different that aren't working exactly as I had planned. So, but that's okay because here we are at this Tech Talk here. Today, we're going to talk about CPOS version 2.0 and my colleagues from Germany and France that have everything working correctly are going
Let's see.
let's see, are going to show Sample Robot with Montage M. Sample Robot is free to all Montage M and MoDX Plus users through March 31st. And you should get that software if you have either of those products. But if you're a CP user, this is what I'm talking about today, the new CPOS version 2.0. So let's start out with what you just heard when I was playing. This is the new CFX2. So this was added in CPS OS version 2.0. There's one new piano and one revoiced version of the Bosendorfer Model 290 Imperial. So we'll start with the CFX2. So the CFX2 is the new version of our CFX Concert Grand, R meaning Yamaha. So we released the CFX, the original CFX, about 20 years ago, I think. And then in 2022, we released a new version that we're calling CFX2 in this instrument here. And there's a lot of design enhancement with that piano. There's a new ARE acoustic resonance improvement for the rim and the back posts. There's a new soundboard design in the new CFX. There's a reshaped bridge. There's a new hammer design, and it's got a lighter frame. The whole end result is that CFX2 has a little bit more resonance, a little bit deeper tone, but it retains the clarity of the original CFX. So I have them both right here. So first of all, I'll just play CFX2 right here. Now I'm going to play the CFX. Hear the difference. You'll hear the difference. So do you hear the amount of resonance and depth in the CFX? Here's the CFX2 again. And now here's the CFX. So The original CFX, I think, has a little bit more presence, brighter, definitely, more fundamental. And that's exactly what the original CFX had, too. That was the big hallmark of that instrument. Well, with this new version, this was in the actual instrument itself, they took it out to different concert pianists, and part of the things that I think that they wanted here was maybe a little bit more depth, still with a lot of the projection, and you'll hear that's the CFX2. Here's the CFX1. And I'm just using the same exact settings here. I still get the projection with the CFX2, but I also get that warmth and resonance that was brought into it. Now, what are these two instruments cool for? I would say if I were playing in a loud room with a larger ensemble, if I was playing pop, if I were playing rock, I would probably use the CFX. I think it has a better projection, a better sound for that type of instrument. But if I'm playing in a jazz trio, I don't know. See, that's the CFX. Here's the CFX too. You know, they're both great pianos. I think I would prefer the CFX 2 for smaller ensembles, more intimate things, more classical, more jazz. I mean, if you so here's the CFX2. That was the CFX1. You definitely hear a little bit more of the resonance and the woody tone in the CFX2. It's a great piano. They're both wonderful pianos. But as I said before, I would probably use the CFX if I were needing a little bit more presence, a little bit more carry over a larger ensemble. CFX2, smaller ensemble, more intimate, more solo. So there you go. In fact, I may play this on a solo gig I have this weekend, and I think I'll play CFX2 on it. I think it's a better piano for that. So there you go. Which one is best? It's up to you. You know, you're the one that makes that choice. So now let's check out Imperial 2. So Imperial 2 is just a revoiced version, same content, but they revoiced it so it's got a little tighter mid-range response and just an improved overall note clarity and presence. So here's the new Imperial Plus, right? And let's compare it to the previous one. These are going to be pretty close. So that's the old Imperial, right? And here's Imperial Plus. So not much of a difference. You can hear it. Imperial Plus, Imperial. I feel there's just, especially right here too, here's Imperial Plus. Here's Imperial. Real subtle difference between the two. I think that the revoiced version, it does have a little bit more clarity. I'd probably choose that for more solo work, more, the solo work, smaller ensemble, whereas the old version, the previous version, I think sounds better maybe in a larger ensemble with an orchestral score, something like that. But those are the two major things in voicing that were added to OS version 2.0. The CFX2, the new CFX Concert Grand, and then Imperial Plus, the revoiced version of the Imperial of the Imperial 290. So there you have it. Now, other things that are available here. There's a new live sets in here. There's now 8 live sets, and they basically cover both CFX2, 4 of them, with CFX2 as the main voice, and then as a solo voice, and then with different layers and splits. Here's one of them right here. this is CFX2 plus 78RD. There's also this one called Quiet CFX. This one has kind of a little pad sound, little Rhodesy kind of sound. And then there's one here that's called Blockbuster. So CFX2 with DX Legend, slow strings. For the Imperial, we have this studio layer. So that's WR wide with Imperial Plus. There's one in here. Here's the warm layer. So DX72 and an analog pad with Imperial Plus. Kind of a cool sound. So nice live sets they've added. 8 of them added with this new version. Other things that are in this instrument are, let's see, what did I have here for sight? A couple of notes in here, and now I've seemed to have lost them. But one thing I want to talk about is output gain. So under the menu area here, if I go menu and I go general and I go to IO volume, you can't really see it because I was hoping to get that screen right there to show you. But under menu, it's under general, IO volume, and then output gain. You can now adjust the output gain from plus or minus up to 24 dB in 3 dB increments. So right now I'm at 0 and I have a pretty good signal here. I'm going to go ahead and cut it by 24 dB because I think boosting it, so that's by 24 dB. 12 dB, minus 12, minus 9. There's plus 9 dB there. Hear it clip. So why is that cool? Well, if you've ever done a gig where you have maybe a sound person that's maybe not as good as you would like, and you go into their board and rather than have an argument about, can you give me more gain to the console itself? And they say, I don't know what that means. And they don't understand how gain control works. It's like, okay, no problem. You can just turn it up here and give them more gain in a situation where you have a bad gain staging issue. Or conversely, if you're on something that has a lot of gain at a preamp and it's clipping all the time, you can cut the output gain back by 3 dB, 6 dB, 9 dB, and so on. So that's a nice thing to have, I must say. Some other cool things in OS 2.0, I have this cool, let me go to this live setup here, is damper pedal resonance control. So before you just had the damper pedal resonance on or off, and you couldn't set the amount, dry or wet mix, and the amount of damper control. Well, now when you go into settings, so this is a live set setting, so it's saved with the live set. You go to sound, you go to piano, and then at the very bottom of the list now you have damper resonance. Now you can set the damper control to 0 or whatever, or and dry wet balance to whatever you want. And you can adjust the damper so you have a little bit more or less of that sound. And it's kind of cool. I like using it. I don't really have a problem with how it's set normally. I might if I were really tweaking it and really trying to get a very specific sound out of the piano that is more of a complementary thing to the piano. So it's not really changing the piano much. But with extreme uses, you can create some really cool sort of ambient type of things. And in this case, right now I have the compressor on, so you can hear the compressed piano sound on CFX2 here. Now when I hit the damper pedal, you hear all that damper resonance come up. Now right now there's no reverb on. You can see reverb's here, but actually I do have a little bit, so I wanted it all the way down. I'm going to go ahead and save that to the set. But what you're hearing, in fact, I'll just turn the reverb off completely here. So there's no reverb on, but what you're getting is the sound of a little bit more of the damper resonance effect. And then when I actually hit the cool sort of ambient textural thing. So that's a cool thing that you can do with the damper pedal, is that you can use it normally, I guess, or as you would normally use the damper effect, as the sound of the dampers lifting up off of the string and creating that sympathetic resonance, or you can make it so it really lifts it off and engages sort of this cool effect. It's pretty cool when you start adding different sounds to it as well. So that's with the 67 RD Dark in here with a little bit of auto pan, and then I just turned on the analog pad sound. Hey, and since I'm here, check this out. Another thing is section hold that they added to CPOS version 2.0. And what that means is you can have seamless sound switching. So if I turn off these sections right now, which I just did, you'll hear that they're still carrying through. That's because it's set to next key is what it's called. So when I can still play here, but now it's just the piano. So it's seamless sound switching within a live set, basically. You turn on a section like this, turn them off, the other sounds go away, but they carry it over into the next key that I played. So that's another cool feature added in OS 2.0. Yet another cool feature is the new tempo delay. So this was something that I was always sad about in CP, and other people were as well. So they commented on our idea scale forum, which those links are in the description of this video. And a lot of people said, hey, my buddy has a YC series and he's got tempo delay. That's really cool. I wish it was in the CP OS. So we have added it now. And how do you get to it? You keep touching the panel here until you see that time start to blink like this. Bloom. So it's blinking in tempo. So how do I set the tap tempo? Give it a little bit more depth here. There's the delay. How do I set the tempo? Press and hold the exit, and then tap 2, 3, and you can see it in the screen there changing. So if I go fast, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's pretty cool. Tempo delay. So section hold, tempo delay. I think the last thing that I want to show here is this little thing. Hold on one moment, going down here. Because I need to grab this. This is a Reface CS. And I'm going to go ahead and turn her on. And somewhere under here, I have this USB. So this is a cool feature. Here's how I find it useful. You notice right here it says USB MIDI device connected. So I'm connected to the 2 device port on the back. There was some initial something somewhere where it said you connect to the 2 host. No, you don't connect to the 2 host port. The 2 host port connects to the computer. That's for USB audio MIDI connectivity to the computer. The 2 device port is generally used for saving sounds, live sets, files off of a flash drive. Well, what they did, our engineers did a crafty little thing where when you have a USB MIDI controller, like in this case, a Reface CS, and I have all the sounds down here, it's literally just a controller right now. And I have this cool sound that's called USB leader, and I wish that you could read that better because I spelled it L-I-E-D-R. That's for my German friend. So it's USB leader. I think, isn't that how you spell leader? Oh, that's Hoppe later. It's a cool little lead sound. Well, sometimes you may not want to play a lead sound on a weighted action keyboard. Wouldn't it be nice to have something? Let me turn the octave up a little bit. Or I could maybe go down here and use it as a bass. This is going to be hard to do this. Kind of hard to do this. I wish I could make it float, but I don't have the force. No force here. But isn't that cool? It's that simple. You just literally plug it in and it works. Now it doesn't work anymore. But so USB MIDI controller with a 2-device port. What else is there? I think the last thing I can say is auto power off. It's not a huge thing, but it's now just enable or disable. Default is enable if you have it, or default is disable. If you enable it, CP will shut off in 15 minutes if it is not touched. So that's basically a nice little overview. I think it's nice, except for that black hole up there. But of OS 2.0, if you want more information, you want to check this out a little bit more in depth, go to YamahaSynth.com, go to my Blake's Take article. It's about a third of the way down the page on the main front page, and you can read more about it. Now I'm going to turn it over to my friends in France, first in Germany, I guess, and France, for a nice overview. Oh, France first. We're going to France first. Right on. For Sample Robot with Montage M. Take it away, Joel.
Thank you very much, Blake. And great OS update for the CP user. But now, let's go for the Montage M user and MODEX Plus user with Sample Robot. So I want to let you take your imagination. Here I am with the Montage M, but imagine this is not the Montage M, this is one of the synths, and you have a great sound on it. You want to sample it because you want to go on stage only with your Montage M. And now with Sample Robot for Montage M and MODEX Plus, you can sample one of the synth, one of the rack, and take the sound and put it on the MODEX Plus or Montage M and go on stage with it. But, if you want to sample that sound, like that, it will be a little bit complex to make the loop points because there is a lot of modulation here. So here we have on Montage M, this is AWM2, there is no arpeggio, there is no motion sequence. All is done with the effect and the low frequency oscillators. So you can do some great things with the AWM2 on your Montage M or MODEX Plus 2. Yes. And the rule is simple. When you want to sample, you put the sound as flat as possible. So you remove all the things that you can read down in your Montage M or your MODEX. So the first thing is easy, that's the effect. You have a lot of effect inside or great synthesizer. So you remove all the effect that you have on your synthesizer or rack. You remove all of them. And for the filter, you can filter after. When you have made a waveform with Sample Robot, you have dedicated filter by element. And open the filter. Take the maximum of the frequency you can take on the sound. On the amplitude, you can set the attack like that, because even if actually your sound is like this, let it go percussive like that, and you can change the attack after when you have the waveform inside your Montage M or your MODEX. Be careful to the release to do not have a huge release, except if you want it this. Because it will take more time and the note ending will be more difficult to find. So do not go like that to reduce fully the release, but take a good release quality, but not too much. And here, like for that sound, for the low frequency oscillator, set off. All off for that. If you have some controllers that do things on the assigned amount, be sure to have them to 0, of course, to do not change the sound. And to finish in the advice, if you have some EQ on it, set them flat. Okay, so actually I have this sound. When you remove all that I say, you have that. That's really not the same thing, okay? And here, this is AWM2, of course. We are on Montage M. And if you want to listen, we have 3 elements. One on the left, one on the right, and one of a tune, like that. So if you want to make a great work for sampling, you need to sample one after the other. Just a gentle reminder, when you sample basic preset waveforms, oscillators, preset sounds, do it for your personal using only. Please respect the copyright. I will not sampling that, and we go here, and as an example, I have the M6 and I have also the MONTAGE Plus, and perhaps some venue or some little stage I want only to take the MONTAGE Plus, but I want to have the ANX base oscillator inside my MONTAGE Plus, and I can sample that. That's what we are going to see. So here you have 3 oscillators. First one is that one, type so. This is the same for the 2, a sine, and the noise. So in the same ID, sample one after the other. Here, no need to sample the oscillator 2 because if this is the same than the one. So for that video to be not too long, I'm going to show you in Sample Robot how to sample only that oscillator. So let's go to Sample Robot, and when you open it, you have a startup project. It's called by default AirDrum. I have removed it because I do not need it. And before to sampling, I want to explain to you, after the sampling, when you have done it, you want to hear your samples, of course. So you need to set the audio out, the audio in. In my example with the line Montage M, it can be the line for the MONTAGE Plus and the MIDI in and out for listening and playing some notes on your keyboard with the port 1 of your Montage M or MONTAGE Plus, of course, but this is for after we done sampling. So how to sample? Go to File, and here open the project wizard, and you have this introduction. Let's keep the nice robot on the side, and go to Next. You have several choices, so we want Sample Robot done most of the job. So we go to Automatic Recording. Let's go to the Next. We need to save our project and put it a name. So I will say TTL ANX here. I will go to Next. You can choose the folder. Here I keep the default. And this is the first important thing. You need to set what is the audio in device. So here, to simplify, I select the line Montage M. You can select a dedicated USB bus if you want, here, and you need to set the part with the good bus, of course, but here to go more quickly, let's select line only. For the frequency, I stay in the CD quality, 44.1 kHz, 16 bits. More you enlarge the quality, more the sample will be huge in size. And if you've done several samples to make good quality, it will take more size. So, depend the balance of what you need. My advice can be to stay on that. The quality is very good like that. And you need to set the Montage M1 port or MONTAGE Plus 1 port, because you need to have a MIDI communication from Sample Robot to the synthesizer. Here I choose that one, but if it's one of the synth, you set one of the synth or rack part. You need to set the good MIDI channel, and be careful here, very, very important. Sample Robot can send program change to select sounds. If you do not want that, set 0 here, very important. You can set the range that you are going to sample on your keyboard. 61, 88. For that video, I will go to 37 to win sometimes and select a reduce range on my keyboard. And of course, more it's large, more you will sample notes, more the size will be huge. Velocity layer, very important. If you have a synth or rack with a nice acoustic sound that you want to take you on stage with your MONTAGE Plus or Montage M, of course, when you play softly, the sound is different than when you play louder. So in that case, you will choose several velocity layers, 3, 4, 5, 6, depend of what you want to achieve. Here also it's a balance of the size and what you need in quality. Here I have removed the velocity answer. No matter what I play, it's always the same, so I can go for velocity layer 1. Of course, more velocity, more waveform, more samples, and the size will be louder too. So take that in contour, especially if you have MONTAGE Plus. Key step settings is what we are going to sample as note. and it's on semitone. Key step of 6 means that I will sample the C, I will sample the F sharp, the C, the F sharp, the C, the F sharp, etc., depend on the size of the keyboard. I decide. If you want to sample all the notes, you set 1. Of course, the size will be maximum value here because you have all the notes on your keyboard, I would say. So here I will go to 12, which means I will sample only the C notes, 1 per octave. Depend of the quality you want to achieve. Generally 6 is not so bad for synthetic sounds. More acoustic things, perhaps you can go to 3, 4, depend on the size you want to achieve per octave, remember. Let's go, and you have the note duration. So here for that basic oscillator, 2.5 seconds is largely enough. I do not to manage the release here because I reduce. And but if you have a longer sound, you need to enlarge the note length, of course. But more the length is high, more the sample size will be heavy, of course. Auto loop on, of course, we want sample robot done all the job. And on next, so you have 3 choices. If it's a basic oscillator like I have, unmodulated pad, you choose simple, like I will choose. You have intermediate for pads, voices, drum loops. And if you have a complex sound that you cannot remove all the things, you can select the complex setting here. And let's go to next. And to select the loop start, where does it start in the total time of 2.5 seconds in my example? So for this basic waveform oscillator, 50% is largely enough. And we are close to finish here. So click finish, it does not start. You see on my keyboard range here that I will sampling only the C notes, so 4 notes to sampling. I will put that here. And we just need to click on start recording. There you have the content. And we have the first note. And you see directly the waveform here. And it continues to the second note. Here we have the project name. Here I will say we will have a waveform. Here, 1 layer. And here on the bottom, we have all the notes sampled here for in my example. And when it's finished, Sample Robot proposes to you to save your project somewhere. So we go like that as an example, default. And perhaps say, okay, I have finished. Joel, explain to us to connect the MIDI, the audio. Okay, I want to play the notes. Oh, very great. Be careful of one thing. Here I am playing the ANX sound from my Modics. No sound, why? Because when you are connected, you can hear the samples only. Do not be worried about that. After, when you export, Sample Robot will make the note around all of that, and you have a full range to play, of course, when you export. But when you work inside Sample Robot, you work here on the waveform that you can see and choose here, and you can work the note in, the note out, the loop points if you need, and you can hear it here with the virtual keyboard or from the Montage M. So huge sound, I will not go too much more. Not so bad for 1 note per octave sampling. So if you are okay with the result, say, okay, this is good for me. You go to export here. And my advice will be to export as a library. Because if you export as a user and you do not save a user file before to load on your Mod Express or Montage M, you can delete all your content. It will delete if you save as a user. So perhaps you will lose some performances. So export as a library is the best choice you can do. Here you have the quality that you can save the samples, waveform, etc. So stay on 44.1 kHz, 16 bits, stereo. If you want stereo, high quality LED like that. That's largely great. You press OK, you choose a destination. See, here you see TTL ANX .x7L, and you say record. And that's done. That's So easy like that. Sample robot done all the job. And with the exported file, you will have all the range and the notes to play on your Montage M or Modix. And that's what we are going to see how to work with the library file as an example with AP that shows us that on Montage M and on ESP2.
Yeah, thanks, Joel. Great presentation, and really you prepared everything for me, right, as I needed. And let's go straight on. So what I would like to show is that you can even use the sample robot file export that Joel showed you in ESP. So you can work in ESP, of course, with the sampled content. And let me show you real quick the basics here. So I loaded ESP and I already loaded some user content into it. I choose the Montage expanded promotion sound library that exists and loaded it into ESP. So let's take a look here. When I go to the category search and I go to user memory, you see all the content from Montage Expanded. I can choose one and play it right now. And let's move over to the utility, to the data utility to take a look. So here we have the data utility. It's like the same like on Montage M. There's no library installed. I only have user performances here. All my user performances, 256 user performances, and some waveforms already. So this is an example. For example, this could be my user memory, my current user memory in ESP. And now I like to add my sampled sound, my exported sound from Sample Robot into this content. So in order to do this, I'm going to open, and as Joel already mentioned, it's always a good idea to go for a library file. So some things, one moment please. There we go. So here's my library, ANX TTL. I sampled an ANX, two ANX performances. So now I loaded this library. I go again to the data utility, and now you can see here's my library, and it has two performances inside this library. And we can check this also using the data utility first. So here's my library, and I have to set no assign. So, and here are my two performances. I sampled two different settings. The first one is called ANX one oscillator raw. So it's just a single oscillator like this. Oh, it's pretty loud, sorry. And then we have one which is sampled with 3 oscillators, and I have used unison 2, right? So there's already some modulation on it from the unison. And now I like to import these both performances into my user memory. I go again to the utility and I go to the library. And now when I right click on this library, I get a submenu. Unfortunately, this submenu is not shown through the stream. I don't know why. I wasn't able to figure it out. So I have two options here, delete and import. And import is what I've like to do right now. And then it shows me the content of this library. It's just these two performances like we already saw them in the category search. And I select them both using Command or Control. And then I press import and again confirm. And now these performances are imported, including the waveforms that are sampled in Sample Robot. Using Sample Robot are part of my user memory. I can now delete this library because I don't need it anymore. And we can check again when we go now to our user memory. There we go. And at the very end, or I can choose again no assign, there are my two performances that are now part of the user memory. What I want to do now, first of all, a recommendation: whenever you work with content like this, whenever you add content, whenever you edit content, be sure to create backups before you work, during your work, and after you work. That's a real important recommendation. What I want to do now is I want to do the same on my instrument. So I have the same basic content on my instrument, on my Montage M here, which is the Montage expanded library, or as a user, not as a library, but as a user content, sorry. And now I want to load the same library into my instrument here. And the reason for that I will explain in a few minutes. So I press Shift and File, and the library file is already pre-selected, sorry. And here's the same library as I load it into ESP. I load it into this instrument, and I can do the same here. So I go again to the data utility, to library import, and import these two performances. Import to user bank, yes. Takes some seconds. And then I can also go to the data utility library and can delete this library because I don't need it anymore. There we go. So now I go back to my ESP, and sorry. There we go. Now, for example, I like to edit my performance here. I'm going to start with these 3 oscillator unison, and let's select the part. And you can see the element number 1 contains the sampled waveform. Here we have the waveform name from Sample Robot. And now let's say I want to filter it a little bit, but I don't want to use the regular filter, but a filter with a different character. I can use the insert effect here. I can say I go to category miscellaneous and use the VCM mini filter, bring down the cutoff frequency, not that much of course, and let's see what it sounds like. Let's go for something like that, and then I can set an amplitude, for example. Maybe I go for a little bit more attack, a little bit more sus. I have to deactivate, of course, my instrument here. And so there we go. And what I can do now is, and that's the reason why I have the same content on my instrument as I have on ESP. I can now synchronize my edit buffer into my instrument, so I can transmit these edited performance, or this edited performance, to my instrument, and then I can play this performance in the instrument immediately. So I can synchronize content back and forth, and then work on the instrument and then work on ESP. I don't know what happened, something technically, I have some technical issues here, but you get the basic idea. Seems to be the day of technical issues, starting with Blake, and now I have some technical issues probably with the audio connection here. But yeah, that's a good way to work when you have the instrument and ESP, that you have the same content on both instances, let's put it this way, on the instrument and on, as well as on ESP. And then you can synchronize the content back and forth without worrying about where these waveforms are located and stuff like that. Always a good idea to have the basic the same basic user content when working like this. Yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you for your attention, and back to Blake.
Well, that was awesome. Yes, thank you. I just thought I'd show that.
Whoa. You got it back.
Yeah, I figured out. So if you're using OBS, here's a little OBS tip before we go to the resources portion. For whatever reason, when I went to edit, lock preview was checked. And I don't know why that is, but it was checked. When you do that, it locks the ability to change anything. But for next time. Anywho, moving right along. Hey, let's talk about resources that are over here. So Yamaha Synth, that's all things Yamaha Synth. We have articles up there. In fact, if you saw that we were having this today on Yamaha Synth, and you already know that at yamahasynth.com, you can find out about tech talks that are coming, like the next one that's coming, I think, in March 4th, which we will talk about what that will be about. If you go to yamahasynth.com about a week in front of March 4th, you too will know what the next tech talk will be about. That's yamahasynth.com. By the way, all the links are in the description of this video. IdeaScale is our in fact, I have a meeting right after this where what I'm going to do is with the person from our content research development that I work with, we are going to go through all of the latest IdeaScale posts that are up there. And when we see ones that are actionable, and which is the majority of them, we absolutely look at them and forward them on to our development team in Japan. And you should know that things like the tap delay, that was added specifically, I know, because of an IdeaScale meant, request for that feature. So there you go. IdeaScale. Soundmondo is our free social sound sharing site for all of our synthesizers and stage pianos. It's you can connect via Google Chrome and only Google Chrome because of the web MIDI functionality of that on a desktop PC. And then you can also connect via the app that's available for iOS devices. That's IdeaScale, or rather, that's Soundmondo I meant, not IdeaScale. SoundCloud is work on it right now. It's in a flux state, but we're going to change that in a bit and have all of our content restored up there right now. It is not all up there, but we're working on getting that restored. That's where you can find audio demos, our Behind the Synth podcast, and so on. It's down right now, but it will be coming back very soon. And then the music production guide is something that Hape works on every, I think, few months. I'm sure there's one that's out now or coming soon that maybe talks about OS 2.0 and Sample Robot. I think he's already done one on that before. That is a great guide. You can go and download all of the music production guides over the past, I guess now 12 years. That cover things from Motif all the way through Montage M that we have now. That's the music production guide. Yes, it was an odd day, I must say, but we made it through, and that's what making waves is all about, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know if everybody's back here yet.
Yes.
Is it just me? Okay. See,
right.
and that's the other thing is that I don't know. There we are. Hey, look, I see you guys there.
Yeah.
I have two windows up for Restream, and one of them is just me. And now I've got all you guys back. So, anywho, thank you so much for watching this episode of Tech Talk. We will be back March 4th, which is Mardi Gras here in the New Orleans area of the United States, because I'm playing a gig that night for Fat Tuesdays, but the beginning of Mardi Gras, right? Anyway, but thank you so much for watching this edition of Tech Talk. We will see you next time, gentlemen. Thank you so much for dealing with me. But before I go, I'm just going to show it again. 4K even. Anyway, God, thank you so much, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, month, and so on from all of us here at Yamaha. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Bonsoir.